All right, everybody, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case over on Rumble. Of course, we'll be seeing that. By the way, I was trying to do audio only, actually, for this live stream, and I couldn't figure it out through StreamYard. I don't think that it really has that. You'd have to set up like some sort of program or some shit like that to have a GIF replaying over and over again or something like that. And I'm not technically skilled enough to understand that, so you have to see my freshly showered hair. That is not grease. It is showered hair, just to be clear. Yeah, I do actually take showers. I know. Definitely got a face for radio, so I figured I would try it, but it didn't work out so well. We've got a lot to cover today. I don't have any tabs open, though, because mostly this is going to be bullshit Bantz, actually. Live. Yeah, we're live. I've got some bones to pick with Yumbo, actually, before I get started with anything news related. I will cover some news, but we'll go over those in brief. The local Yumbo has not restocked the usual energy drinks that I drink, so I had to these ones, the 9 energy drinks, and I am pissed at them because now I have to drink the sugar-free Red Bull, which isn't as good as real Red Bull, but I don't want a boatload of sugar every single day. It's like drinking a fucking Coca-Cola. Bullshit. So I'm pissed at Yumbo. I'm pissed at the world in general over the direction in which it's going. I'm pissed at the government of Vermont for selling our state downriver, the U.S. government for being entirely and completely dysfunctional. And keep in mind, I am the least black-pilled person in the world. I tend to be an eternal and arguably naive optimist. So when I'm this pissed, there's in the socioeconomic sense, is definitely a problem. Monster Unleaded was the best, says CJ Chabot. I never tried that one, I think. I remember, was it Monster that did the one where they used nitrous oxide, actually, instead of normal carbonation? And I can't remember exactly what it's called, which brand did that. I think it was Monster. I thought that was pretty good. Wait, I have that jacket, but spiked. Yeah, I should probably put spikes on this jacket. That would look cool. Banned on Twitter again for specifically not violating TOS, says the Defamation League. Yes, I did see your message that you sent. That's Twitter is sometimes it's a hit, sometimes it's a miss. We've got chats over on Rumble where we are live, by the way, but I can't see the view counter actually. Okay, now I can. All right, that's better. We've got some chats. Morbidly a beast, first, but not fat. Buddy Mac 13, hey, fatty. And I said, buy my books. By the way, link up above if you're watching on YouTube. Pinned in chat, cross-platform, it is in the description. I've written and edited a lot of books. There's over 450 editions there, and I'm plowing through about 15 more, actually, that'll be ready probably by sometime in September. So grab it up. IDK man, help. Obama's a little bitch. And Buddy Mac, damn it, Sticks, I can't read. Covey Clown, Joey Ramone is not dead. Leather Daddy. Yeah, I've been compared to Joey Ramone or John Lennon normally. Or that dude from Oasis, which is like, with his glasses there. I don't know. Joey Ramone is definitely the coolest of those people. Joey Ramone is pretty cool. We'll be talking about all sorts of, what news topics did I have? Oh, yeah, I don't have my tabs open because I was just too fucking lazy. It's hot out. I was woken up at 6 o'clock in the morning. My alarm clock malfunctioned. The alarm clock that wakes me up by saying dada from her crib. And so I'm a little bit unslept today, actually. But we got to talk about the Chiron guy from Fox and their reaction, their hypocritical reaction. Oh, boy. And by the way, links in the description. They're all archived, of course. You can follow along if you want to. I think there was there one that wasn't archived? No, I swapped that out for a different news story. Biden with Burisma, actually. We got to talk about that. Right-wingers in the drug war. In fact, I should probably open that one up because it was a real humdinger. Most of these I just go from memory. But sometimes you need a little bit more detail. Sir Elliot says Sticks, and he sent 666. Thank you very much. Buy a couple of energy drinks. Sparky, the rest of the world has issues, but don't fret, at least you have your own clankdom. Yeah, I should have my own little microstate. Just everyone should leave me alone. Let me grow hollyhock plants, and andivie, I suppose. You know, a common plant here in the Netherlands for stomppot. By the way, goddamn delicious. Liz makes it well. I make it well as well. So it's all good. Tonight, I am making my own famous pasta sauce for some admittedly pre-made raviolis, little pasta things. I've got some dried mushrooms, actually, to put in the sauce, along with various other goodies, such as zucchini, possibly olives, but I'm not sure. Bayonne 201. My millennial hip replacement went well, 16 days post-op. I ask myself all the time why I live in Vermont. Being a gay Trump supporter here is very isolating. Love all your work. I sympathize with you. Knowing how Vermont works, if you have a MAGA sign anywhere around you, probably get attacked by burglars or something like that. And the state will not help you because the state is completely fucked. I'm going to be abandoning Vermont, by the way. I've decided, I've made my binding decision. I'm not going to resettle back in my home state. I'm going to be going to my other home state of New Hampshire, which is right across the Connecticut River, which makes sense. Also, the Libertarian Party there, quickly rising in prominence, asking for public opinions on policy issues. So I decided to weigh in the other day. You may have seen that tweet. Sparky, you do. It's called Clank Nation. Yes, but a digital nation is made of zeros and ones, not green and blue. John Hoyle, disgusted with Repubs, caved on budget, caved on Schiff. How to fix the coward party? By not supporting them unless their name is Rand Paul or Donald Trump. Most of the rest of them are pieces of shit. Silver Kestrel, power out across my city, so no work for now. Finally caught you in time. Thoughts and prayers for Perryton, Texas, nearly destroyed by a tornado. That's no good. Anyway, we'll talk about a couple news stories really quick. I'll probably keep this a shorter stream. I'll probably end up rambling about Gilligan's Island again or something like that. Fox News the other day had an incident, and it was really, really funny. And they fired the producer, or he resigned. It's not 100% clear. That was involved in this, putting up a graphic that says, wannabe dictator has his political rival jailed. Of course, Joe Biden instructing the DOJ to go after Trump, the DOJ doing everything that it can to make sure that there are charges, an indictment in his case. And it is naked. It is transparent. And so I didn't see anything that was inaccurate with regards to the infographic. It made sense to me because it's true. I would point out something and did earlier. If a news site were to put up an infographic about a sitting president or prime minister or whatever, it depends on the country, or a dictator, put up an infographic of them having a political rival jailed and referred to them as a wannabe dictator. If it was Putin, if it was Russia, would anyone complain about it? Would the producer be axed, or would it have been okayed by the editorial board? Well, of course, the latter. If it was Venezuela, even a left-wing country, if Maduro were to decide to have his main rival jailed, someone he feared he would lose to, that would be appropriate. Nobody would question it. MSNBC might have a problem because they support communism, but it wouldn't be dragged. Nobody would get fired for it. But all of a sudden, Fox News, one producer there had the bravery to put up an chyron there, the tagline down below, that actually describes what is happening. What does Fox News immediately do? They apologized profusely, took the knee. They probably sent $1 million to the SPLC 10 minutes later. Oh my God, this was not authorized. We apologize profusely. We're sorry, Joe Biden, who we're literally getting our economic marching orders from, the same as CNN and New York Times and all the others. That's the truth. Fox News is controlled opposition. If anyone post Tucker Carlson being fired still had any confusion about Fox News and their real ethos, you have just been you've been owned, son. You need to admit that you were wrong if you were simping for them at any time in the last 15 years. I've said it for that long. Again, if the window is still there, because we did have window replacements at my home in Rutland, if the sticker is still there, there should be a turn off Fox sticker in the front window facing the road in my old office in Rutland. And I hold to that. Turn off, fuck them. They're controlled opposition at best. At worst, they're just opposition. and they do not deserve your viewership, your ad money in any way. If you have to use a Fox News link, like on Twitter or something, right-click it and copy the link and run it through archive.today. and bereave them of their ill-gotten gains from their ad revenue. Sometimes they don't work particularly well with archives, but you can make it work. It just takes a while. That's what you need to do. Remove them from their money so that they have less money to ESG it up with the nation at large. Because that's what Fox is for, ESG. They're the same as every other fucking retard network. Tom Christopoulos, I start my day with your wisdom. Thanks. Oh, thank you very much. Darun Albane, my grandmother, may her soul be peaceful, said by the time you reach my age, you will be lucky to still be free. She was in her mid-70s, past mid-80s. Yeah, if we survive to that age, we will be lucky if there's still a republic left. As I've said, I don't expect the United States to disappear. We're arguably entering our empire period. The problem is that it becomes more authoritarian, more dysfunctional, and more prone to instability. It's not that it immediately goes away. You can have more wealth. If you have a dictatorial system and the dictator is good, things can be really, really efficient. If there's one person calling the shots or an oligarchic council and they do a good job, wealth actually flows like a river. The problem is you also get the other end. That's the whole purpose of a republic. The republic is supposed to bring down the highs and elevate the lows and modulate things to create stability. That's the whole point. Ashley, Styx is mad at the world, but no mean tweets. Yeah. Black Dog Girl. Clank, clank. Please shout out good morning to Kirk. Good morning, Kirk. Wake up. It's time to go to work or watch some clanking. Aerodynamic 11. Hey, Styx, you came through. Fellow DM fan here. Depeche Mode, great. What's your favorite song? Mine is Everything Counts or Get the Balance Right. Happy Friday. My favorite song of all time is actually Love My Way by the Psychedelic Furs. They actually take top place for my favorite song. Depeche Mode is my favorite band, mainly because I've never heard a song by them that I don't like. There are some that I like more than others. Everything Counts is definitely up there, by the way. What would my top song by them be? I don't know. There's so many good ones. There's like 100 songs on that list, which were upper tier. There's not a single album that they produced that I didn't like. And that includes some of the recent albums that were like, well, isn't that not necessarily as good as Violator or Ultra or something like that. I would say John the Revelator, actually. Partially because of millennial nostalgia. There was a music video for that in which it was George W., and basically it was World War III themed, and I really, really liked that at the time. I also like Lillian, which I believe is also on the same album, on Ultra. And, Enjoy the Silence is good. Everything Counts is good. Get the Balance Right is definitely good. Walking in My Shoes, that's probably the best off that album. King of Biltong. Good morning from Antons in Roanoke, Texas. Thought we'd be Styxless today. Happy you are on, even if you're a little wet. Stay strong, my friend. Hashtag Clank Nation. Yes, I'm a very strong person mentally and, well, not as much physically, but, I haven't been sick in about 4 years. I've noticed that when I came to the Netherlands, because there's no pine trees, all of a sudden my allergies went away and I stopped feeling ill every spring. There are benefits to a move to an area with different flora than the ones that you were born with. Like if I was in a desert, would I ever get sick at all? I don't know. Sparky, remember the Gilligan's Island dream sequence where Gilligan dreamed he was a puppet dictator? Yes. Doesn't it remind you of Zelensky? A little bit. My favorite episode there was where they got those Russian cosmonauts drunk. They drank them under the table. Backstory, Gilligan's Island was an old comedy from the early 60s. Really great series. You should watch every episode. The other good one, best one, was the one where they got the spider drunk. There was a giant spider that was attacking them. And then they made spider cider, which was alcohol. And they got the spider drunk. And I can't remember what happened at the end. I think they chased it off. And somehow magically, even though it was still on the island, presumably it left them alone. I think they used mirrors to do that. The spider was drunk, so it saw like 5 or 6 copies of itself in the mirror. And the other one was the Russian cosmonaut one. The Russian cosmonauts accidentally landed in the lagoon, and they were trying to rehab their craft. And the survivors, they're Gilligan and the skipper and all the others, they drank him under the table, and they planned to take their capsule, I think, to get rescued or something like that. But then they realized the time zones in Russia are different from the time zones that they are in the U.S. And the professor's like, shit, we calculated the time wrong. And I think that Gilligan actually didn't fuck up in that particular episode. That was the comedic foil. Gilligan was constantly fucking up. Great show. Eyes Wide Open Are Yours. What about Aliens in Las Vegas? Your take? Haven't heard of it. Is that a band? I don't know anything about them. Biddy Beastly, DM'd you on Twitter. Too many people focus on the left. The far right is growing. No hate when I ask this, but can you run 1 mile and do 10 pull-ups? Yeah, I think I can, actually. Yeah, I mean, I would agree. The problem is that when the right wing, the far right grows, they become more authoritarian, just like the left wing has. So instead of commies, you get fascists or something like that. It's a false dichotomy. It's still just authoritarianism, but I have warned of that. Mitch James, what's the update on Mr. Mediker's health? I don't know. I think he still has a show, but I don't know. I haven't seen any recent episodes. Somebody fact check that. Is Mr. Mediker still uploading? If so, can you get me a link on Twitter? Because I'm interested in his show and what he has to say. Next news story. Did Biden coerce Burisma? It looks like some of the conversations that may or may not have been had between the Burisma CEO and Joe Biden included explicit violations, number one, of the Hatch Act, and number two, literal legal coercion, effectively blackmail. Hey, send me some fucking money. Yeah, 10 million will do it. And I'm pointing that out. By the way, I should point out one other thing. Here's a fact check. It does not appear that the whistleblower in that case has actually died or been killed. That appears to be a misquotation, actually, of Rudy Giuliani's hyperbole that's making its rounds on secondary websites that pose as news sites. I had to fact check something on fucking Twitter earlier with community notes about this because it's completely unverified. So that does not actually appear to be the case. It's not the case. But I got like 3 tips about it. And I'm like, okay. Make sure that when you look through, before you send news tips to creators especially, this is helpful. And I don't blame these people. I mean, you're blameless in this because there's a lot of bullshit out there. If you do a fact check, if you try to look up like search terms from that story and you see literally nothing of any political stripe from any mainline news group, including the missing link media, it oftentimes is not true. This has been a problem before. I mean, if Breitbart won't pick it up, that would be a juicy fucking story. If they don't pick it up and all you see are a couple of arguably Chinese sourced websites making the claim and you can source it back to Giuliani's off the cuff statement, then it's not really a story at all. And that was with Newsmax that he was doing that interview. Eric writes, hello, working nights. You're often a point of light on my breaks. Regarding Massey, and I can't help but agree, in no universe should the House be in the business of fining. Legit treason equals execution. Well, I mean, I would agree with you that the House shouldn't be able to fine House members, but they are capable of doing so. And the idea that the 8th or 27th Amendment impede that capability is my problem with Massey. The principle is fine. The actual pragmatic legality, he's arguing something that is totally false. Well, the 8th Amendment blocks this from being a thing. No. As excessive fines, that would involve the judiciary. That's not even a constraint upon congressional action towards members of Congress. The 27th has to do with their salary. The salary can't be modified until the future incarnation of Congress, so people can't vote themselves a raise while they're in office until the next congressional session. Well, that has nothing to do with fining someone. Your salary remains the same even if you're fined. That's my problem with what Massey said. Tukar, have you heard of the Digital Platform Act, Ministry of Truth 2.0, concerning? Was told 87,000 IRS agents are not a thing because of the debt ceiling. Is that true? There are not going to be 87,000 additional IRS agents, but there will be many more IRS agents. That component involves also janitors and secretaries and directors and people who shuffle papers. Not all of them will be agents that are capable of initiating an audit, but some of them will. I would argue the IRS should simply be abolished at this point. Mojo Hansen, hurrah, Sticks, nice jacket. Thank you very much. Brian Zwart, have you heard about the renewable energy failure in Australia called Snowy 2.0? No, I haven't actually. Somebody can DM me on Twitter with more details. Cindy Drellick, nobody put Styx's stream in a corner. Thought we would be Styxless in Seattle. Too many movie quotes in my head. You're right. No bad Depeche Mode songs. Curtis Seeger's John the Revelator is a good remake. Stunt Cat. Yeah, they have literally never released a song that was bad. And that also includes, and this is, actually, I think this is the only example in history. It also includes all of the current and former members in their solo careers. Have you heard Dave Gahan's solo work? Kingdom is a great fucking song. That should have been included on a goddamn album from Depeche, and they stonewalled him for years. He wanted to write more songs, but the people producing wanted Martin Gore to write all the songs. So they would give Dave like a one B-side. He's a great songwriter. Have you listened to his work? Meanwhile, Martin Gore is an excellent at singing too. They only have him sing maybe like one song on an album and then a couple of backup vocals. He's got a really good voice, and I don't understand it. I don't understand why they stonewalled him so long on that arrangement. They should have had Martin Gore singing more and Dave writing more songs. They probably would have done better in the last few albums. Their latest album is decent, but again, it's not Violator. It's not Ultra, you know. Splatter. Though I'd rather avoid conflict, when would it be best to dig in and try to fight against the growing empire of the federal government? I will not confirm or deny when I think that people should fight, because that is a loaded term and I don't want to appear that I'm glowing in the dark. You will notice that I have principles, unlike some content creators out there. The Patriot Cairo. Watching mainstream news makes you dumber. Absolutely. Eyes wide open are yours. People called 9/11 because aliens landed in backyards. Video, audio available last week. Oh, 911. I thought you were making a 9/11 reference. Yes, I saw that. It is clearly shoot footage. It's clearly CGI. It's well made, but it's bullshit. Aliens aren't landing in your backyard. If they did, they'd probably die within 10 minutes because of all the contaminants in Earth's atmosphere. They'd get all oxidized. They'd be like melting like slugs with a rock salt caked on them or something. Alex Karras, I shout out to Spoon, a.k.a. the Aristocrat Utensil. I know you're listening, you essay turd. Also, I prefer Gore's work. Yeah, Martin Gore, he's got one hell of a set of pipes on him, but they almost never let him sing. Songs of Faith and Devotion, I think he sang one song, I can't remember the name of the song, but it was really good. It was One Caress, actually. And that's one of my favorites. And that's a Martin Gore lyric song. Bara, were you ever a fan of The Cure? I like The Cure. Name a band from the 80s, and there's a 99% chance that I like them. It doesn't matter whether they're bubblegum pop or whether they're on the edge of goth dark wave. It really doesn't matter. By the way, this is one thing. Liz is really great about that, too. She's introduced me to all sorts of bands and stuff from the 80s that I didn't know existed. Although there was one, she didn't know about the Cocteau Twins for some reason. You're an 80s fan. Next news story, and we got to talk about the drug war bullshit. This is something on which the right wing is ostensibly wrong. They are not right on this issue. What could go wrong, says the Gateway pundit. John Fetterman supports the use of magic mushrooms for mental health therapy. I would like to point out to the Gateway pundit and some of the people that write for your news group, I like some of these content creators. I have no problem with them. And I have no problem with the obvious insinuation here. Magic mushrooms are therapeutic. They've been used in non-US countries for a number of decades experimentally to resounding success with regards to depression treatment. By the way, so is ecstasy. Yes, if you use ecstasy, you might feel a boost in your mood. Disclaimer, I'm not telling you to use ecstasy, of course. As long as it's pharmaceutically produced and it's not mixed with fentanyl or something, probably you're going to have a good time. Yes, psilocybin mushrooms are capable of clearing up depression in some people, depending on the source and type of depression. In some cases, we're talking about someone having an imbalance in the serotonin excretion or dopamine excretion in their brain that causes depression, etc. That's going to be different from its PTSD, shell shock, basically. It's going to be different depending on the degree of it. Of course, some people have seasonal affective. I know that I do. It's called feeling sad in winter. If I were able to use psychedelics, I'm sure that I'd feel a little bit better in winter if I were using those. Of course, that ship sailed long ago. John Fetterman is actually not wrong here. Same with smoking weed. Yes, believe it or not, smoking weed in most people tends to elevate their mood. It will make them feel better. It's an artificial feeling better. It can help you cope, though, with certain medical problems that are going on. The same is true of magic mushrooms. The same is true with iboga. Iboga has been experimentally used actually for addiction treatment. Somebody is addicted to, let's say, heroin or alcohol. They take iboga as part of a ritual or in a pharmaceutical setting. It doesn't matter. And what it does is it causes them to introspect deeply into their minds to try to unfuck themselves. It may or may not be successful, but there have been a number of successes. We've got other substances that are used, kratom, of course, for opiate treatment, using something that effectively is going to stimulate the same pathways, but it's not heroin. It's not fentanyl. The hope is that in some cases, the person will get better. It's basically what he's suggesting is nothing shy of a less deep version of methadone treatment. Well, we already do that. We give methadone to heroin addicts to try to keep them down. We give them opioids, basically. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I actually agree with Fetterman. He's got a good idea for once. Yes, the dude who can't string a sentence together without making some sort of major verbal fumble is fundamentally correct. And the right wing is wrong to try to attack on this line because you look like a bunch of retarded authoritarians. The drug war should have been dead long ago. People should be able to use shrooms. People should be able to use whatever the hell they want unless they're driving or they're doing something sensitive, like they're driving a forklift, they're a judge, they're a cop or something like that. Public officials and people in those roles, at least when on the job, shouldn't be inebriated. If somebody is just on their own property growing some mushrooms, I just don't give a damn. Bitty Beastly. Telling people to be active doesn't make you glow in the dark. There is no political solution or talking our way out of the coming prison planet. Well, I mean, then you're basically arguing that I should tell people to fire the first shot. That's probably illegal. It will definitely get you on a list, so I'm not taking that particular bait. Big boy, thanks for what you do, man. Have a great weekend. Thank you. And you too. MF Damien. Here's to another day of using the FedEx van to blare death metal in Amish country. Clank. Don't bother the poor Amish. They're good people. They're the only people on a Greyhound bus who are polite and will actually give up their seat for another person and sit in the aisle. They are literally the only polite people that use Greyhound. I know this from experience. Eric writes, did you catch Mr. Reagan's latest video? FBI knows the license plate of the J6 bomber, but refuses to investigate and pursue. Allman status activated. I'll have to look that up. Paul Ross. Hey, Sticks, do you like the Red Hot Chili Peppers? There are a couple of songs they've made that I like. Californication is pretty cool. For the most part, no. I'm not a fan of that kind of rock. The Patriot Cairo. Merrick Garland, so-called moderate liberal, turns out to be a thug. He has turned the Department of Justice into an abusive arm of the Democratic Party. No, not the Democratic Party, the Uniparty. Some Republicans glowingly endorse this. Mitt Romney, Cornine, Thomas Massey, apparently, oddly enough, and certain others. Liz Cheney. I know she's not in Congress at this point, but she glowingly supports what's going on. Jazzy J, shout out to my wife to be Anne Marie. Works very hard while I recover from my disability. Interesting. Adherent of Lady Columbia. Past couple months, I've become disillusioned with the right. I'm not saying the U.S. is coming to an end, but the right may need another turnover cycle a la 2016. Thoughts on 20s being worse than the 30s and 40s? Yeah, if you're talking about the 1920s, they were pretty cool until the very end. And I wish that we were getting more 1920s than 2020s at the moment. Yes, the right wing. You gotta separate the right wing from the Republican Party. A lot of people make that mistake. The Republicans are weak. Basically, the Republican motto for 30 years has been, we will slow down the constitutional and economic damage being done to our country by a bunch of fucking radicals. The Democrats are just more honest. They're like, no, we're going to go full throttle. We're going to do it faster. The Republicans are not there, at least until recently, with Trump populism and the Ron Paul / Rand Paul libertarian leaning side of things have not been principled. Post first term Ronald Reagan, the basic concept was to get elected on limiting damage, not eliminating damage. So you have the NFA. You should be pushing to get rid of it because it's unconstitutional. What does the NRA and their FUD friends in the GOP do for 30 years? Oh, we don't want more gun control. We're not interested in going after the anti-gunnery that's already there. We just don't want more of that anti-gunnery. You've pushed us far enough. We're drawing a line in the sand. When the line is crossed, what do? John Cornyn, Mitt Romney, and a bunch of other Republican senators crossed aisles to vote for Joe Biden's anti-gunnery because they stripped out the proposal of banning assault weapons. It was the ultimate betrayal, at least up until Kevin McCarthy's pig in a poke budget deal. Scott McLaughlin, a band you may like is Keel. Their best song was The Right to Rock, 80s melodic metal. Well, if it's 80s, I probably like it preemptively. Opinionated junkie, restricting drugs, why stop there? Do foods, lol. Yeah, exactly. How can you say, well, it's in the public interest that we stop you from doing mushrooms by putting you in prison, but the government wouldn't be able to come in and restrict what you can eat? I mean, beyond FDA guidelines and the regulations that are already there, like explicitly telling you, hey, you're only allowed a certain amount of meat, because leading health experts have determined that if you eat more meat than that, then you'll get unhealthy. And we don't want you to be unhealthy. We've got to protect you. We've got to save you from yourself. Well, who cares? Just charge them more for having a second seat on the airline, and hopefully some of them slim down and leave it at that and call it a day. Takar. Digital Platform Commission Act of 23 is the Disinformation Governance Board on steroids. Sticks, please research this. Surprise, no one knows about it. Digital Platform Commissions Act. Just a sec. All right, I'll queue it up for later, and I'll look into it. Thank you. Salty Dog's House. Before or after 0 AD, what makes 666 Sticks think about Nephilium and Nephilim? Shadpar asks, off topic and I do care. You know the diff, but please elaborate. I think you're asking me about my opinion of the Nephilim. That is the evil spirits, basically born of human females after the angels fucked them because they found their hair attractive. Depending on the Jewish, Islamic, or Christian tradition, there's some nuance there. I don't think that they existed. Unfortunately, giant fossils have largely been disproven, although there were some tall motherfuckers among certain Mesoamerican groups in the Copper Age. And they're not sure exactly why. 6'8" appears to have been achievable by people who, by all accounts, really should have been fucking malnourished and should not have been able to attain that height without gigantism, which there's no evidence in some of those skeletons. That is actually true. I think I'm more interested in that. Aerodynamic 11. Let's keep the positivity going with another super chat. Have you heard the song I'll Do You by Wiretrain or Kraftwerk? Also, So I'm Love by OMD. I haven't heard any of those, although I do like Kraftwerk. It's one of those bands where some of their songs are really good, and then other songs are like, well, it just doesn't do it for me. It's unlike Depeche Mode. Sparky, fentanyl was only administered in clinical settings 30 years ago. The FDA then allowed it in household medicine cabinets, releasing the demon upon us. Yeah, they were giving out painkillers like candy to people. I remember I had my wisdom teeth out back around 2004 or 2005, thereabouts, when I was a teenager. And they gave me half a bottle of Perks, which is an opioid. A significant amount. Like, it was enough to, keep you reasonably high for at least a couple of weeks. I flushed him down the toilet because after taking one, I puked. And of course, you just got your wisdom teeth out. You don't really want to puke. So I just took ibuprofen and basically, sucked on a popsicle as much as possible. And a few days later, I felt fine. They gave me an excessive amount of a reasonably addictive painkiller for absolutely no goddamn reason. If I could go back remembering what I know now, I would have sold it, I suppose. Hey guys, I want about $400 for this bottle because that's actually undercutting the amount they fucking gave me. All I did was get my wisdom teeth out. I wasn't in that much pain. There was just a little bit of localized swelling for a couple of days. They gave me enough Percocet to kill an elephant. This was the 2000s. This is not ancient history. Sticky Marks. My name is Sticks Marks, but can use it. Aha. Interesting. Sparky. Newsflash. FDA is corrupt and evil. Yeah, not much of a newsflash. I think that everyone already knew that one for a long time. Look at what they did with Oxy. John Hoyle, the chat clankers identified the Swedish YouTube channel within seconds the other day. Thank you, impressive bunch. Yes, the balding Swede. And yeah, I'll look up the Digital Platform Act later. We've also got other stories, Biden being lawless. I'm not even going to bother covering that. Link in the description, archived, of course. You can look at the story if you want to. You go ahead and digest that because I'm having too much fun ranting. In fact, I'm thinking it might be fun to do more of a rant style thing instead of just going through dry news stories. Here's the thing. Maybe I'll do a poll on Twitter, on Straw Poll or something later. Should I move to a more rant-based, more sort of freewheeling content as far as the live streams go? Or do you kind of like the more informative, admittedly, less rant style, like, hey, here's the link, here's the story, here's my summary of it? Wondering. I think I'll do a poll later on this subject. In fact, let me make a fucking poll right now. We'll go to Straw Poll. We'll pop it up cross-platform for people. Should I do more freewheeling or more categorical and news content in my live streams? I spelled that one incorrectly. Yeah. Whoops. I know people jump down my my throat if I spell anything wrong in anything. And for some reason, that's not loading. I'll do that later. For some reason, Straw Poll is having a thrombo at the moment. Whoops. Let's see. Alex Karras, how about this inversion of women and children first from protection to being pushed to be the first to suffer transhumanism? I do find that a little bit interesting, yeah. Women and children the first to be thrown under the bus, mainly because weak men refuse to defend them. Starlight Gemini, release the poll. Yeah, I'll have to do that later, I guess. Straw Poll appears to... whatever. The Gunslinger, rant, leather jacket. Okay, Razor, stop it. Yes, but I don't have the aviators on. Sparky, it's shockingly easy to OD on fentanyl. Death for the absent-minded. Did I already take my meds? Etc. Yeah, imagine you're so high that you don't remember that you're high, so you take more and die. I wonder if anyone's ever done that with alcohol. Like, they're so drunk that they forget that they've had a shit ton of drinks, and then they just guzzle the whole bottle because they're just too far blasted to realize it, and they just fucking OD. Bitty Beastly, why not both? Sir Osis of Liver. Hey, Sticks, have you heard about this headline? Starbucks manager wins $25.6 million lawsuit after arguing she was fired for being white. Poor Starbucks. Yes, I actually did see that. But the nuance of that case is it's more legalistic than I want. It's a funny title, but the story itself is more boring, actually. Evil's Dadvocate, $5. No comment, thank you. TDT, as long as you wear the leather jacket for the rant streams. Yeah, I could be in uniform, I suppose. Let's check Rumble over here. There might be Superchats. Oh, yes, there are. Don't worry, I am checking Rumble. Everything's fine. Beagle Cake said, morning. Mike Roch Show. Morning, Razor. Sending love from Wisconsin. I enjoyed Sonic Occultism, and everyone should check it out. What else should I read next? Well, the gun rights work, the gun rights debate, how to win it. That seems to be one of the new bestsellers, actually. Or if you want some fiction, Orange Man Big. Volume 2, coming soon. Chem2425IA. Fox has always been a cuckold, absolutely, but people refuse to acknowledge that. I would tell them that, and they would say that I was the problem. Well, no, Fox is actually based. They're better than the other networks. Fox is based because they have Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity. Yeah, what a winner. Null Hypothesis. Sticks back in black looking sharp as Razor. Kind of sus, dude. No cap for real. Nick Ray 47. Thoughts on Newsmax compared to CNN and Fox and in general? They are better. Like they're better in the sense that Fox was proclaimed to be better by Fox supporters for years. There's actually an attempt to balance the coverage and not be complete shit Fox. Nonetheless, I don't really watch Newsmax much either. I prefer if I'm gonna watch anything, One America News Network is reasonable. Or I just literally watch my own videos because I would rather cover it myself and make my own analysis. Il Sarto. When you're live, I can no longer rewind more than 20-30 seconds on Rumble. So if I miss the start, I have to go to YouTube. Please undo the new setting if you can. That's not my setting. That is Rumble itself. People have been complaining now for the better part of a year about their lack of a proper rewinding system. I can bring it up with them. They fixed chat, though. They're slowly working through and making things better, which is more than you can say for YouTube. Midwest Finest 95. Voted for Obama twice, Hillary and Biden. The last few years have been eye-opening and will vote for Trump in 24. Interested in seeing what he's about without the fog of MSM propaganda. While I suspect that you may not actually be a lifelong Democrat that is going to vote for Trump in 24, let's just put it that way, I will take you at your word and assume that you are not bullshitting and trolling at the moment. It's a good thing, though. I mean, if you're going to vote for Trump, I mean, I strongly support that. Be Beastly. Do you know Gojira, listening to Flying Whales? I've heard of the band, but I've never heard any of their work. Mick Adams, nice to see the jacket again. Have some of our old worthless Aussie bucks for old time's sake. Oh, Australian money is perfectly fine. It's all fiat currency anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, I'm still waiting for the day a North Korean sends a super chat. What are your thoughts on Kim Jong-un? Well, he seems to be a bit of a gourmand, but other than that, he's no more malevolent than most Western leaders. Opinionated junkie, Cosby and never-ending cases. Yeah, we'll probably end up having to fucking talk about fucking Bill Cosby again, which pisses me off because I don't give a shit about Bill Cosby. His stand-up's pretty good. I don't care about the American dad wearing a sweater sort of thing. He's been dragged through over and over by dozens of people, and now they're renewing cases against him. It's bullshit. Sparky, Sticks, I'm not even talking about drug abuse. I'm talking about prescribed fentanyl. One extra dose by mistake may end you. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, basically, the government gives you heroin because you had a broken leg. Baitor 2000. They weren't just an 80s band, but how do you feel about Rush? Rush is pretty cool. And I noticed that along with Queen and Led Zeppelin and certain other bands, for some reason, there are some people out there, and I think there are a bunch of hipsters, have a huge hate boner for these bands. Especially Rush is probably number one on that list. Oh my God, they're so overrated. No, Tom Sawyer is a pretty competent song among many others that they've made. By the way, the vocals are incredible, and the range is exquisite. Didn't their singer have stomach cancer? And is he even still alive, actually? Not 100% sure. Shark Dentures. I support a mix of both rants and news. Darwin Albane. Look up Raging Golden Eagle if you like what you are doing now. It is like how he does his. Interesting. Salty Dog's House. Even the best of woman still has a devil's rib in her. Well, if you believe in Christianity, I suppose. I myself do not. No, women were made from sugar and spice and everything nice. Only, people who are wacky think that women are a bad thing. I completely oppose MGTOW. Although I would point out the MREs do have one legitimate gripe, which is contractual differences with regards to the treatment of males and females, which is disproportionate with regards to custodial battles, as well as alimony and things like that. Other than that, though, I don't really find any common ground with people that dislike women. I mean, I am married. I do have a daughter, by the way. She's female, and I mean actually female. I have a mother. So how can I hate women? One gave birth to me. One bothered to marry me, and then another one, I helped to produce. I'm not going to have any onus on them. I don't understand the MGTOWs. I can understand. Okay. Alimonial or custodial battles. I can understand the differential. I can understand why that would be pissing people off because it is unfair. In the U.S. and other Western legal systems, it is lopsided. There's a huge differentiation there. But you have a problem with child support. Well, it took two to tango. You did help create the child. Now you just want to be able to wander off and not pay anything towards their upkeep, towards their education, towards food and so forth. I'm sorry, but I can't respect a man that believes that sort of bullshit. I think some of them don't believe it themselves. JP, hey Sticks, thanks for the content. Today I can only see you live on Rumble through the app. On web browser, you don't show as live. Weird. That is weird. Yeah, I'm seeing King Crimson mentioned. King Crimson is amazing. Covey Clown, opioids produce such a warm feeling. Tuck me in at night, hold me so tight. Made concoction of greens and veggies. Call it swamp water. Am I a swamp thing? Are you on opioids at the moment? I'm not 100% sure. At least you've got a warm tuck me in feeling. Please don't overdose. Now, if you overdose, you can't send me money. Movros99. By the way, speaking of that, please send no more super chats. I'll keep it a little bit shorter. I'll gloss over the next couple of news stories. I'm just going to go through the super chats here first. Movros99. Any chance you would do a video on Vivek Ramaswamy? I have mentioned him a couple times. His campaign reminds me of Trump's first run. He's worthy of keeping an eye on. He's got no chance in the primaries, but I would be surprised if Trump, based on his actions, did not choose him for a cabinet position. in his administration, which I think will happen. Everton Plaza. Yo, Sticks, loving the stream. Was wondering, would you be up to have a quick chat about metaphysics and fiction in Twitter DMs with me? You can DM me, but you got to understand I'm unholily busy at all times. I do a lot of work. I rarely have time to respond, actually, anymore to DMs. People send me news tips constantly. It's very difficult for me. Zoe Fenderblast. Clank, clank, clank went the trolley. Ding, ding, ding went the bell. You are correct. I'm glad you're learning your English skills. What a good child. Darun Albane. Conversation style. Yeah, maybe I should just rant like this more often and talk about Gilligan's Island in every episode. Somehow I'll shoehorn Gilligan in anytime that I talk about politics. Archon HH, I really like your normal format, but if you want to dedicate a day to this new style, that would be good. Also, longtime lurker, etc. Well, thank you for that. Huns with Guns, you ever listen to industrial metal or new metal? Not so much. Occasionally, though. I see some MGTOW people who are pissed at me in the comments. Let's join the club. They've been pissed at me for a long time after the video I made about 4 years ago excoriating them. Officer Maggot sent an emoji with a beer and a spoon. Or I think that's beer. I can't quite tell, actually, on Rumble. Null Hypothesis, Sticks 666 and Razor. I forget which one of you likes pineapple on pizza. That would be me. He thinks it's a sin for some reason. I think that I'll make it again sometime. I had a video where I trolled him by making a pineapple pizza with medium rare steak on it, actually, one time, because he hates that too. Midwest Finest 95. I wasn't politically involved, more of a normie. Yeah, I can understand that. So yeah, what else are we going to talk about? Oh yeah, they're looking at, just really quick, they're looking into Booty Judge's flight records. They're trying to figure out if he has misused public funds for his private scheduled flights. Of course, there's a small fleet of government funded, which means taxpayer funded aircraft, and Booty Judge may have used them for personal reasons, none unrelated to his work. In the end, my prediction is that they will find nothing, because they won't really look for it, because unipartyists are a pile of filth. Then we've got big tech censorship continuing. You can follow that one if you want. The one other news story I did want to briefly touch on was the one from Detroit, actually, where pride displays have been banned in, what the fuck was the name of that one town? It's really not a town. It's a suburb of Detroit near Highland Park. Hamtramck, which is an extremely obtuse name, by the way. United States' only Muslim-majority town, Hamtramck, Michigan, bans pride flags on public property. Yes, you heard it here. The first place in the United States to ban such displays in public property. So technically taxpayer funded. And yeah, you can make an argument for or against. I'm not even going to bother having the debate because I just don't care. The first place to do that was the only, and I did check this. This is actually true. This is the only municipality in the entirety of the United States, anywhere from coast to shining coast, that is Muslim majority. And they happen to be the very first one, so it's a double record here, to ban the public display of the pride flag on government buildings and so forth, on public property. So parks, libraries, schools, etc. They've banned that. How very, very fun is this? How very, very funky. It's almost like the liberals are confused over this, because the liberals have spent years admonishing people that they were conspiracy theorists if they claimed that if, Islam became a majority group in any specific area, they would vote their own self-interest. They would represent their own moral norms, the same way that literally every other group in human history has done. Islam, we were told, was that one magical unicorn that wouldn't follow that same trajectory. So if you have a community that is by and large Hindu, by and large of Indian extraction, doesn't matter if it's in India, they're going to tend to reflect that in their voting patterns. If they have a city council, a town council, a mayor, and so forth, the mayor is Islamic, by the way, here, they're going to reflect those views. You might expect to see a law against abusing cattle. You may expect a law to mandate no beef will be served in the public schools or something like that. If you have a Christian majority area, so a bunch of fundamentalist Christians, let's say they're hardline Lutherans or really Orthodox Catholics or something, you would expect them traditionally, historically, to vote their self-interest, to vote their morals into power. They might go after, let's say, abortion. They might say, no, you can't have the condom vending machine in public buildings of a taxpayer-funded nature. Something like that. You got a primarily Jewish community. Maybe they don't want the local pig farm to continue to, be accredited, to be able to operate. They'll say, well, no, this is a zoning or a violation of some sort. You can't raise pigs here. People, don't want to smell the pigs. You would expect such legalese. Islam was the one group that the liberals in the United States exempted from this and told us explicitly for years and years, you were a conspiracy theory if you believe they would do what literally every other group did. Every religion, every racial demographic, age ranges, people of different political persuasions. You go to an area where most people are Republicans and another where most people are Democrats in the partisan sense, you will find a differential within governance. Because whether these identities are artificial or whether they're more objective is meaningless. They will tend to do that. They will amalgamate together self-segregation in city areas usually, and they'll vote their own self-interest. I find this hilarious. And now the liberals have to make a choice. Would they rather go after the LGBTQ plus MAP IOU 123 community on behalf of Islam and say, okay, this is perfectly fine. You've got the right to practice your religion in this zone, and other people, if they don't like it, they're Islamophobic. Or do you side with the majority Muslim community that happens to be there, and you say, well, or do you side with LGBTQ plus MAP rather, and say, no, that's discriminatory. We love gay people and trans. It's going to be very, very funny to see which choice they make. I have a feeling that there'll be about an even split among people who are leftoids. And it'll be a freak show. They'd rather not talk about it at all. And probably what'll happen is they'll retire this news story as quickly as possible so they don't have to answer any questions about it. It wouldn't be surprising to me in the least. So yeah, over in the Detroit area, again, this is not really a city. This is a suburb of Detroit. In fact, it's pretty close to the inner city itself, near Highland Park, which is one of the most dangerous places in the United States, actually, as far as crime goes. It is primarily Islamic, partially Polish extraction for some reason, and a lot of people from Bangladesh. I guess that's the largest group there. They're majority Islamic as well. Scott McLaughlin, Jungi Malmsteen, Swedish metal. Greg Palmer, hardline Lutherans, oxymoron of the day. I'm using a hyperbolic example, of course. Salty Dog's house. How often do you oil that jacket? I never have, actually, although I know you're supposed to do that. Seems to be holding up pretty well. Anyway, I think I'm going to go offline because it sounds like the baby is currently having a thrombo. Kevin's Clips and Quips on Rumble. Hamtramck. Oh, okay. Hamtramck. Anyway, I will not be live tomorrow because it's the weekend. In fact, I have to do that driver's bullshit tomorrow. But thankfully, after that, I get a couple of weeks off. I know how to drive. It's just I need to learn more about the European road rules and forget the fact that I drove for 15 years. Because then you're less of a cautious driver because you're experienced. And that can actually cause an experienced driver to do more poorly than one that has no experience at all, at least insofar as a driver's exam goes. It's counterintuitive and makes no sense. Iggy the Incubus, my guess, pro-LGBTQ, IA, MAP, 2S, whatever, has become a religion of its own right. The only moral authoritarianism the left supports. They're all moral authoritarians, actually. It's just that their moralism is different. So yeah, I'm happy about all of the people watching live here. To the 4,500 people roughly at peak, I bid you adieu. I have to appease the child. That's about all.